Imagine opening your door to an angry neighbor demanding a fight, calling you names, throwing a knife, and then, when it seems like things can't escalate any further, the unimaginable happens. This shocking and tragic story from Singapore has been unfolding since 2021, and today we take you through every detail of this chilling incident. What led a man who was already trying to distance himself from trouble to commit such an irreversible act? Stay tuned because the details of this story reveal a lot more about human behavior under extreme pressure and mental health challenges, and you won't want to miss them. Welcome to 2230, where we dive deep into the most pressing stories with full details and open discussions. If you're new here, please consider liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and tapping the notification bell so you never miss out on our news breakdowns. And as always, we want to hear your thoughts, so get ready to share your views on this case in the comments below. This story revolves around 46-year-old Heng Boon Chai, who just recently has been sentenced to life in prison after stabbing his neighbor to death outside their flat in Punggol, Singapore. The incident began with an argument and escalated into a tragic series of events involving violence and harassment. Let's break down exactly what happened, step by step. Heng Boon Chai had been living with his mother in a one-room rental flat on Sumang Walk since 2018. This was after his release from prison, where he had served 8 years for another violent incident, the death of his uncle. Notably, that earlier conviction had been reduced to culpable homicide due to Heng's diagnosed schizophrenia, a key detail that reveals a history of complex mental health challenges. Their neighbor, 46-year-old Mr. Kim Wee Ming, moved in next door in 2019. At first, they appeared to get along well. Mr. Kim even shared pineapple tarts with Heng's family during Chinese New Year. It seemed like a peaceful coexistence. However, things took a turn for the worse in 2020 during the COVID-19 lockdown, when tensions started to build between Heng's mother, Mam Ho, and Mr. Kim. Repeated trips by Mam Ho to throw out trash late at night began to annoy Mr. Kim, and soon, arguments erupted between the neighbors. The first major quarrel occurred in December 2020, when Mr. Kim, drunk at the time, shouted at Mam Ho. Heng, in defense of his mother, urged Mr. Kim to sleep it off, even mentioning his past history, a veiled warning to steer clear. Fast forward to July 14, 2021, the day everything spiraled out of control. Around 2 p.m., a heavily intoxicated Mr. Kim knocked on Heng's door, asking for a fight. He called Heng names, challenging him in Hokkien and ignoring neighbors who attempted to defuse the situation. When Mr. Kim punched Heng through his iron gate, Heng, surprisingly, did not retaliate at first. He simply urged his neighbor to leave and sober up. You can sense Heng's reluctance to engage in violence despite the provocation, a crucial element of this case that brings up the question of how much one can endure before snapping. After the initial exchange, Mr. Kim left, but the situation escalated further when he returned with a knife. He brandished the weapon, even striking Heng's gate with it. Once again, Heng tried to reason with Mr. Kim, reminding him of his mental health struggles and his past time in prison. Heng's attempts to talk Mr. Kim down failed as the latter, rather unexpectedly, threw the knife into Heng's flat. The story doesn't end there. Mr. Kim, seemingly not done, went back to retrieve a wok and began hitting Heng's gate again. By this time, the tension had reached a breaking point. Heng picked up the knife that had been thrown into his flat and stabbed Mr. Kim in the neck. But even then, Mr. Kim wasn't done. He staggered back, called the police and, shockingly, informed them that he was going to die soon. He even made a video call to his employer. Heng, meanwhile, called his father, telling him that he had killed someone, asking his father to care for Mam Ho. Mr. Kim continued to hurl threats, saying, "If I die, you die." It was then that Heng, unable to take it anymore, opened his gate and proceeded to stab Mr. Kim several more times in the neck, ending his life. This sequence of actions, the repeated threats, the escalation, and ultimately the fatal stabbings, paints a grim picture of desperation and unchecked rage. Paramedics arrived at the scene but were unable to save Mr. Kim. Heng was subsequently arrested and charged with murder. He underwent an assessment at the Institute of Mental Health (IMH), which determined that while Heng had schizophrenia, he was not in a state of psychotic relapse during the incident. In court, Heng did not contest the charge, and the judge found him guilty of murder. The defense argued that Heng had acted out of concern for his mother's safety, as Mr. Kim had been escalating his aggression and they feared for Mam Ho, who was returning from buying lunch. The lawyers highlighted the fact that Mam Ho only kept a plastic knife at home due to concerns about Heng's history. They argued that it was Mr. Kim who had escalated the situation by throwing the knife into their unit, which ultimately led to the tragic outcome. The judge acknowledged the repeated provocations by Mr. Kim and noted Heng's early admission of guilt. Considering all factors, including Heng's history and the circumstances, the death penalty was not deemed appropriate. Instead, Heng was sentenced to life imprisonment and given 10 strokes of the cane. After the court proceedings, Heng's divorced parents were allowed to speak with him. A heart-wrenching scene unfolded when Mam Ho fell while walking towards Heng, causing him to tear up. He reminded his mother to eat well and asked his father to take good care of her. This tragic story raises a lot of questions. How much can a person take before they break? When does self-defense turn into something far more sinister? And could this situation have been prevented if better mental health support was in place? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this heartbreaking incident. What do you think led Heng to commit such an act? Was it sheer fear, mental health issues, or a culmination of being pushed too far? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story insightful, make sure to give us a thumbs up, share it with others, and subscribe to 2230 for more deep dives into important news stories. We aim to give you all the details and discuss the underlying issues that really matter. Tap that notification bell so you never miss an update.